Afternoon, everyone. My name is Gavin, and welcome to our webinar, ISO Audit Readiness, Tools and Tips for Success. We're just gonna wait a minute for other people to join the session. So now's a good time to grab that last minute tea or coffee if you haven't already, but we'll get started in about a minute. Okay, it looks like we have enough people that have joined us, so we can make a start. If you missed the beginning, my name is Gavin, and welcome to our webinar, ISO Audit Readiness, Tools and Tips for Success, presented by the Citation Group. Before we get started on the presentation, I'll just cover off some general housekeeping. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. We'll try and answer them at the end of the presentation. You don't need to wait till the end. You can type them in throughout the webinar, and we'll be able to view them. The webinar is being recorded, and you'll be sent a recording link at the end of the session. So today we'll be discussing the tools and tips that you need to make sure that you're ready to have the successful ISO audit. So by the time you finish the webinar, you should walk away with some useful information to help you. A little bit about me. My name is Gavin Kotkin. I'm a business development manager for Citation Certification. My role is to speak with clients, understand their requirements, explain the process for certification, link them up with separate third-party providers if they need assistance in building the management system, answering technical questions, and getting you ready for certification. And today I'm joined with Barry Fairman. Barry is our certification manager, our technical manager. He's has a wealth of experience over 30 plus years. Barry is the link between Citation and the Joint Accreditation System of Australia and New Zealand, otherwise known as JASANS. Excuse my South African accent. Some people think I'm saying Jazzans, but JASANZ. They are the ISO authority for Australia and New Zealand, and citation certification is what's called a CAB, or a conformity assessment body. So we provide third-party independent assessments of companies' management systems to ensure that you're aligned with the standard. We then submit all that reporting to JASANS to get you certified. So at the end of the day, you get an ISO certificate with the JASANS logo. You also appear on the JASANS portal that government departments or companies can look you up for added due diligence. So Barry is our link between JASANS and our audit team. He's across all the technicalities of the requirements for ISO certification and the requirements for JASANS. So if you have attended one of our webinars in the past, you might know a bit about Citation Group, but Citation Group is across all your compliance solutions, from outsourced HR solutions. We do safety systems, mainly software, with compliance and policies and procedures. We also do certification for ISO and NDIS, and we are backed by Citation Legal, which is our HR compliance migration law firm. So if you have any queries about that, we can assist you with that too. So today's webinar is brought to you by Citation Certification. We have over 30 years of experience in guiding thousands of successful organizations through the complexities of certification, and that has to do around various ISO certifications, environment, occupational health and safety, quality, food safety, information security management systems, or ISO 27001 is becoming very popular and in demand these days. We also do food safety certification, such as HACCP, and asset management certification. And we also have a strong focus on NDIS audits. So that is all from me. I'll now hand it over to Barry, who will start the presentation, and I'll see you a bit later. So thank you again for joining us today, and over to you, Barry.
Yeah, thanks, Gav. Thanks for that great intro, and yeah, it gives a really good background to what we do and the types of products and services that we have. So today we're going to look at the process itself, the certification process in some detail. A few tools and tips. Of course, this is it's a pretty big thing, this certification thing. If you're not familiar with it and management systems, but we can give you some guidance on how our process works in terms of what we deliver and how it's delivered. And of course, we'll have a Q&A at the end, as I understand it, for this webinar. Thank you for that. Okay, so this is really important. If you don't have a management system, or even if you do, it's really important to understand that when we do certification, we're looking for certain things in accordance with the standards that we certify to. Now, nearly all systems have some form of documentation. At the base level, the three things that you must have if you have a certified management system is policies, objectives, and scope. Those things must be documented per certification. A risk management process, essentially, processes of your own, the things that your businesses do right now, or they already do, or they may do in the future. The necessary controls that go with them. So quality, safety, environment controls in relation to legal requirements, other requirements, information security, etc. Internal audits. You must have internal audits for a certified management system. They're the audits that you carry out, not the ones we do. Management reviews. There has to be a process for management review for any management system that's certified. And of course, things like records, training records, licenses, and qualifications for your people. Okay, so this is the process. We're going to talk about how to get ready for this type of process today. We've got a process that's staged for initial. When we do initial certification, we have a stage one, which is a readiness type of audit. Now, stage one really tells us whether or not you're ready for stage two. That's its main reason for being. Everything should be ready at stage one. This is my first tip today. If you're doing a stage one, everything you should have ready for stage two should already be there. So your internal audits, your management reviews, etc., all your documentation should be ready at stage one. And then if we find anything at stage one that still needs addressing, we would give you a finding for that, and you'd be able to address it before you go on to the next stage. So a successful stage two ends up giving you certification. So you have certification at the end of stage two. It gets recommended by your auditor, and then it's technically reviewed, and then there's a certification decision that is made. And once that's done, you end up on the JASANS register. So publicly available information. Your clients can seek you out, your prospects can seek you out, tendering authorities can seek you out through that register. So once that's done, a year later, it's actually precisely a year later, it has to be done within 12 months, no later than that. You have a surveillance, and that surveillance looks at whether or not your system is still being maintained in accordance with the standard. And then, of course, 24 months later, we have another surveillance, and then at year three, your system becomes recertified. So that's really the process in a nutshell. I would stress that getting ready for stage one is really, it's the best tip that I can give you, is to be ready before your stage one. And we'll talk about how you can become ready towards the end of the webinar.
On that, Barry, I'll just mention that we do have checklists available to download, or you're welcome to contact us directly. And that's in relation to getting ready for stage one.
Thanks, Gav. Yeah, good point. Okay, so ISO standards, all the management system standards, so the ones we talked about, the quality, safety, environment, InfoSec, etc., they all have the same high-level structure. They have 10 sections, but there are 7 sections that you should be really familiar with when you're setting up your system to an ISO standard. So we have context. Context is about your business. It's strategic purpose and direction, what you have in terms of interested parties. It's really a picture of your business, your organisation. We have risk and opportunity. We have leadership. They're probably pretty familiar to you if you're running an organisation, running a business. You have support, the support section of the standard, the operation standard. That's really the doing the do. The operation is what you do, your business practices, your services, your products. There's a performance evaluation section, which is about management review and internal audit. And then, of course, the thing that we all want is improvement for our businesses and organisations. And that's the last section of the standard. But all those things work together to bring you a system, a management system that's certified to deliver the best possible service to your customers and the best possible service in terms of those requirements you have in tendering, in being involved in a government, a regulator, situations where you need to have a license, for instance. Some of the standards, there's at least one standard that has a licensing arrangement with most of the regulatory authorities, and that's 45001. So that's really the seven sections you need to know. And again, before you get certified, you should know about these. You should have a standard, a copy of the standard or standards that you're wishing to be certified to. And you'll see in every one of them, you'll see those 7 sections.
So Barry, just quite often I get the question around what is a management system. I was hoping you can clarify that that there's no rule about it. It can be paper-based. You can set up a Google Drive or SharePoint.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, a management system, it generally has documentation in it, of course, things like policies and scope and objectives, etc. Some instructional information for yourself if you need that. But yeah, it can be set up on any sort of platform. As Gavin said, it could be paper, digital. If you could do it on YouTube if you really wanted to. It's media. It's basically documented information. And that's what a management system is. But I think most importantly, you have to build management systems for yourself, not the other way around. The management system has to match what you do. It has to work for you. It should be as simple as possible. And if you're a really complex business, you can still keep it relatively simple. It really, that's the real point here. It has to work for you. You're not building it for the standard. The standard is something that we look at your system through the filter of the standard. It has certain requirements that your management system must have, but don't let your management system run you. You have to run the management system. I think that's one of the better tips I can give you as well.
All right, thank you.
No worries. Okay, so this is just one of the things that it's a bit of a helpful method or helpful approach. You don't have to use this approach, but in many respects, this reflects the whole idea of standards. So the PDCA cycle, the plan, do, check, act cycle, all the standards, all the management standards are actually based on that cycle. It's a process approach. So it's inputs and outputs. And I always think about processes, stuff goes in, stuff goes around, and stuff comes out. It's either products, services, transactions. But like I say, very simple concept. As I said, stuff goes in, stuff goes around, and good stuff comes out. And that's what a process approach is in the very simple terms, but it seems to help when I talk to people about, when they talk about process approach in terms of standards, that's the easiest way to explain it. It's the things that you want out, the outputs that you want. Make sure the process is built in such a way that you get your outputs in the way you want them and your clients. Okay, so honestly, to get certification done well, we know what we need to do, and so we're expert in our field. But to make sure that you're prepared, you can use this sort of approach where you can have 4 steps, a simple roadmap to let you know where you're at and let you know what you need to do. And then it can actually reduce the time to obtain certification. Certification can take a while, depending on where you're at in the journey of certification, whether you have a system that's built, whether you've got a system that's already running, or whether you're building one from scratch with the help of a consultant or doing it yourself. So yeah, we'll just go through those steps. The first one, and most importantly, is the planning. So the first thing, here comes another tip: get the standard. Get hold of the standard, buy the standards. There are a number of places where you can get them. Gav might be able to drop those in later on for you and reach out to you with those where you can get them from. We don't sell
So
them.
just on that, they are a licensed document, so we're not allowed to provide them or sell them. But I will drop in a link where you can purchase them from.
Perfect. Thanks, Gab. Yeah, look, you need the standards, obviously. You need to have a look at them, open them up, have a look. They're great bedtime reading. If you've never read a standard before, there's a fair bit in them. But they're broken up into sections, and it makes sense. If you look through from section 7, from 4 down to 10, it makes all sorts of sense. You need to get top management or ownership commitment. If you're a person within the business that's getting ready for certification, or you're the business owner or the leaders, you need the commitment to get this done. I would never pretend that it's easy and simple, but you can keep it simple, but you have to work hard to get it done. Responsible people for the system development. You obviously need those people who also might need to be trained or receive some training, and I know that we provide that type of training. We're able to do that as part of accreditation. Got to understand the needs of internal and external interested parties. So every organisation has both of those things: internal factors, external factors. It's really understanding your business internally and externally, understanding what your threats and weaknesses are, your strengths and weaknesses, your threats and opportunities, those sorts of things. Some people use SWOT analyses, others use pastels to look at those things. There's plenty of ways you can do it. There's no one way. You can map your critical business processes, those things that really matter to you. Map them out, understand the inputs and outputs of those. The standard requires you to do that. So it's very important that you get onto that. Defining and documenting your management system scope. That's really important. Oftentimes that's a 1 or 2 page document that covers almost everything about your business, understanding what we're going to certify, what we're looking at when we look at your management system. You need to set clear objectives. That is another requirement for the standards, to have objectives, and they're your objectives though. And I go back to that management system is yours. They're your objectives. You don't need to have any particular ones. The ones that work for your business, ones that work for your organisation. And then also assess your process risks and opportunities, and of course your business risks and opportunities too. Most businesses are pretty well aware of the landscape they work in, and I think going back to those points we raised before, it's your organisation, your business. Build the management system to reflect that, and then look at it through the lens of the standard.
Makes sense.
Thanks for that. Okay, so when you do the do part, so you build or review your management system. So some people have to build a management system from scratch. As I said, you can utilise consultants to help with that. We don't do that. We don't build your system. We're an independent third-party accredited body, and we audit your system in accordance with the standards that you hold. So you need to develop your management system in line with your ISO requirements. And if you go back to the plan part, you've already got the standards, so you should be looking at it in that way. The mandatory documents, as I mentioned before earlier on, scope, policies and objectives, those 3 things are mandatory in every standard. There are other mandatory requirements in the different standards, but those 3 things are absolutely central to the documentation that you need to have. So critical process inputs, outputs and interactions, have those described. They can be done in a process map, they can be done in documentation, any way you like, any way that you'd like to identify those critical process inputs, the outputs that you need, and the interactions of those processes. You have to have internal audit and management review processes. Those things are key. Those are the things that tell you whether your system is actually running correctly and in accordance with the standards and in accordance with your own requirements too. So critical processes that you have, you should be auditing those as well to make sure that they're running well. And of course, there's no wrong answer in an audit. If it's telling you that it's going okay, that's great. If it's telling you you've got problems, that's okay too. You just need to address those problems and fill those gaps. So you need to communicate key requirements of your management system to your people, to your organisation, to make sure everyone understands that you've got a management system and it's about to be certified. You can do that through awareness sessions, through training and instruction videos, face-to-face meetings, all sorts of ways you can do that with your people. And when you have identified your risks and opportunities, you need to implement actions to address them. That's another part of the standard that's very important. And it's, again, I don't think I'm telling anything new to anyone in this particular arena. If you're in a business, you're part of an organisation, and you're interested in this, you've probably already thought about risks and opportunities in that business or organisation. Thanks for that.
So I'll say that quite often when speaking with clients, they already have quite a lot in place already, just part of general best practice of organizations. So quite often it's not such a stretch to align with the standards.
Yep, absolutely, and it shouldn't be. I mean, the standards are designed any other way other than good business and good organisational context. I mean, that's what they're there for. They didn't invent them outside of business and organisations. They are based on those things. So there's the check part of having a management system ready for certification. So you monitor and measure your process performance against planned outcomes, review your progress towards your objectives, and that often takes place during monthly meetings or quarterly meetings, things like that. It's always good to retain those records of those reviews, most importantly, so you can have a record, but also we can see that too when we do your external audit. So I've bolded a couple of things here, and they're really important. Before you become certified, these things have to be done. So you need to conduct and complete your internal audits. You're evaluating the conformity, the effectiveness of your system, the implementation of your management system to make sure it's ready and it's functioning. It is your management system and it's got to work for you. So looking at those processes through your internal audits and looking at the standard requirements through internal audits, very important part of certifying your system. So when you've done your audits, you need to use those findings to improve your system and ensure compliance. Those things are really important. That comes out of internal audits. And then, of course, ensuring a management review is conducted to assess your system performance. It's where you know about your system. We're going to look at those records when we come in and do an external audit. So those things have to be up to date and they have to be there. We can't recommend certification at stage 2 if those things aren't done, and they should actually be done before you commence stage 1. So really important tips there. Don't miss out on those ones. They're really important. It's very embarrassing when you get to stage 2 and those things aren't done, because that unfortunately will turn into a non-conformance issue. If you get them done at stage 1, that prevents those or avoids those non-conformances at stage 2. And then we can recommend certification much more quickly.
I guess the more companies have in place for stage 1, the more they'll get out of that review prior to stage 2, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look, I think we talk about preparedness all the time, and having a system completely built, in place, functioning, those sort of things. As auditors, when we come in and audit the system, if we can see that the system is functioning well, and it might be in its infancy too. It might be, you might be a new management system, never built a management system before, but if it's functioning and it's being looked after by the people that work with it, and the people within the organisation are very well aware of the management system, those things go a long way to giving us confidence in being able to make those management system determinations in terms of certification. So we have to have, it's one of the key aspects of conducting external audit. We have to have the confidence that your management system is functioning properly.
Thank you.
Okay, the last part, before you get to your stage one, you need to make sure that if you found anything that needs to be corrected within your system or adjusted, you would have those things those changes complete before you get to stage one. I mean, it never really ends. I mean, you're always usually in a state of development with your system. But for the most part, once you've done your internal audits, that'll give you a good foundation to know if there's anything else that needs to be done. Make sure that you've got all the documentation that you've developed available, in whether it's in a digital format or whether it's even in a paper format, so we can look at it. Addressing the findings from internal audits and make sure that you've got those reviews done. And then preparing for certification by confirming some assessment dates with our service delivery team. That's really those 4 steps with that information that's within them. They really, if those things are done, you really are prepared. As I said, if your system's in its infancy or this is all new to you, getting those things done, over time, your system will grow and develop. But some of the things that we must find at stage 1 and, of course, at stage 2, the compliance audit, without those things, we can't recommend certification. So it's really important that you understand the responsibilities of your organisation in terms of this. We're pretty good at it after 30 years of doing certification. Our part's pretty well done and dusted. We can do most of those things really, really well. And, we know we do. We're quite good at what we do, our part. But your part is to be ready for that stage 1 and that stage 2. And if you follow those points in there, it's very likely that you'll get recommended for certification. We can never guarantee it. We don't ever say we can guarantee certification. It's really the responsibility of our client to make sure that all those things are done. And as I said before, you can do this internally. You can build your own management system. It's difficult if you've never done one before. I can't put it any other way. It's not something that just comes really easy. It's something you've got to learn about. We have some training. I think Gavin can give you some information about that. Or you can use an external consultant to assist you and build your management system. We mentioned before. Yeah, Gavin, you mentioned before, we can't do that for you.
Yes. So on that, Just Hands allow us to provide general ISO training. So Citation has 2 options. We have an on-demand training academy with pre-recorded sessions you can access and use anytime you like. It covers information on all the ISO standards. There's also a course on internal auditing. And every 2 months, we do run live training sessions. It's done online, but with an instructor, so you can ask questions and get feedback, but it's very general. You then take that knowledge and apply it to your own management system. So we can help in that regard. But most of the time, companies will need the assistance of ISO consultants, and Citation have a number of consultants that we've seen their work, we know what they do, so I can have a chat with you, understand your requirements in more details, and give you 3 or 4 options so you can find the best match for yourself to help you get it ready for us to come in and audit your system.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's an important point too. That's stage 1, when we do the stage 1. If we have any findings, I think I mentioned it before, but we have any findings there that could result in a non-conformity at stage 2, we'll let you know. We'll be very clear about that. And then you'll be able to address those things before you get to stage 2 and make it a much smoother process in terms of getting the recommendation for certification.
So yes, I'll just mention it to everyone. We do have an end of financial year offer on certification. If it's something you're interested in doing, you can take advantage of the pricing at the moment, and then book in your stage 1 in a few months' time when you're ready, if that is required by you. But essentially, this discount is coming off the back of Barry and his team. So you can thank Barry for the discount. But essentially, there's a big upsurge in companies wanting to be certified before the end of June. We obviously have to schedule our audit team accordingly. So we like to get companies in the process you into our system, so we can kind of know what is coming up ahead and schedule our auditors accordingly, so we can pass on the discounts to you. So if it is something you're looking at, you're welcome to notify us, and I can have a chat to you and get a quote for certification directly to you. So feel free to scan that QR code, and that's the best way you can get in touch with us, and we'll do the end of financial year discounts for you. Okay. We'll move on to the next slide, Barry.
Yeah, look, there's plenty of benefits for ISO certification. A lot of our clients need certification for tendering purposes, but there are more than that. You get a competitive advantage if you're certified. You do stand out. There are plenty of clients. There'll be clients one day, maybe. Plenty of businesses and organisations that aren't certified, and of course, some of those organisations, because they're not certified, cannot get into certain parts of procurement through government agencies, etc., and principal contractors, etc. So it's an important thing to have, and it's well respected. I mean, it's about trust in your systems. If your management systems are certified, there's a trust factor there. It's promoted through JASANs, it's promoted through government, so very important to have that. Lowering your expenses. There's good data to suggest that having a good certified system can actually reduce your costs and expenses. You can have objectives and targets in your management system about reducing cost. That's not an issue at all. They're your objectives. So of course they go to the bottom line. You reduce your cost, you get better profit. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with making that part of your management system to include those types of objectives. In fact, they're a good measure of an organisation, particularly a for-profit organisation. A great measure for success are the profits of the business. Risk management, of course. All the management system standards have a requirement for you to manage your risks, both adverse and beneficial. So risks and opportunities. So your stakeholders, your external and external interested parties are quite interested in whether you manage risk. Many of the reasons that external parties require you to have that, or the main reason, is that they want to see your risk is managed, so their risk is managed. Accessing new markets. The ISO standards are international. They are accepted and across the globe. The accreditation bodies like JASANs and there are others. Most countries have an accreditation body of their own. The JASANs is certainly global. It goes across the globe. And the certification from a JASAN certification, the certifications that we issue, are recognised globally. So really, really important.
Barry, I would add another one. Quite often we have for succession planning, or for companies that want to sell their businesses, they get ISO certified, so it becomes more attractive for sale.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good important point. Look, innovation too. Your system, you can use your system to create awareness across the organisation to have that innovative culture. The last section of the standards about improvement. It's all about continual improvement. It never stops. It takes a break sometimes, but it never stops. And you can advertise the fact that you're an innovative company, and one of the reasons that you are is because you're certified, and you can use that certification to market your company. You can put certificates on your website, you can put logos on your website, you can get stickers to put on your vehicles, all those sorts of things, and they do tell a story outside of your business. Attracting talent. People really like to find organisations that are going somewhere, that are improving, that are developing, wanting to work with reliable employers, etc. Mostly we do find this, it's observable within organisations that are certified. We see generally good morale, good involvement and engagement. In fact, engagement is part of those standards, that leadership must engage with the staff and the people that work with them. So that's a really important point. And of course, that tells you that a certified company can generally attract good talent. And then satisfaction, customer satisfaction is at the heart of management system standards, to be able to provide products and services that meet requirements but go beyond, and give your clients and your customers the most, the best experience they can have with your services and your products.
Barry. Okay. Sorry, do you want to carry on there, Barry? I
Yeah.
interrupted you.
Look, I can do. This is the Citation Group. We have a whole bunch of products, in fact. Citation certification is one of them. The other ones can support your certification. They're different things. There's a safety. We have Citation Safety that does WHS audits, and we can do HR audits. Citation HR for workplace law. Citation Legal, and Enable HR. So maybe you could speak to those two, Gav. Did you want to mention about some of the services they provide?
Yes, so Citation HR comes with an advice line. So that is backed by our law firm. So essentially, if you have any HR issues, need assistance in dealing with any issues in the workforce, drafting contracts and agreements, you can ring the advice line at any time and we'll guide you on the best way to proceed. The Enable HR is essentially just the software platform. And Citation Safety is a software system. You can run it independently or in conjunction with the HR software. It has a library of work health and safety resources. There's also an audit that takes place, and that will identify any gaps in how you're managing safety, not in line with ISO, but from a legislative point of view, which will obviously assist with ISO as well, but it's not an ISO audit. It's just safety specific.
Yeah, it certainly covers legal requirements, that one, Gavin. Yeah, the standards themselves require you to understand and apply your legal requirements. There are no legal requirements in the standard, but there are external legal requirements the standard requires you to understand and deliver.
Yes, and that's also it's usually based on state, right?
Yeah. Regulatory authorities across the states of Australia, states and territories.
Gotcha. So here's another chance. If you want to get a quote on certification and take advantage of the June offers we're having, you can scan that QR code and you can book in a chat. Unfortunately, we can't just give blanket quotes on certification. There is a calculator that has to be done by myself in accordance with JASHANS. It looks at a number of factors, and that's how we can determine audit durations. So if you want to get a proposal with the end of financial year costs, please scan that QR code and get in touch with us.
Yeah.
Okay. Q&A time. So we've had a few questions come through. I'm just going to go through them now. We had someone saying they did our online training course and that was very helpful. Thank you for that. We did have one, Barry, around once stage 2 is done, you mentioned non-conformances. So if non-conformances are identified at stage 2, what happens next?
Okay, so there's two types of non-conformances that can be identified at stage 2. One is a minor non-conformance, which means that there is a conformance issue, but it's not enough to stop recommendation and approval of certification. The other type is a major non-conformance. I'll give an example. If you had done no internal audits whatsoever, that would be a major, and we couldn't recommend certification. But if that's the case, which we prefer it not to be, obviously, because we wouldn't want to get to stage 2 and have that problem, but it happens from time to time, then you have a period of time to close that non-conformance and then ultimately be recommended for certification. So it's important to understand that, like I said, going right back to that stage 1, you get that stage 1 right, you do all your preparedness work that needs to be done, and the likelihood of major non-conformance particularly goes down remarkably. It's something we have to apply. It's not our rule. It's a JASANS and accreditation rule that if we find a major, it means the system is really not able to function properly, and it's something that could cause major issues to your customers. For instance, it can happen. It could be something around your processes that you have. So it's really important to know that can happen at stage 2. Best way to avoid it: do all the hard work before stage 1. If we find anything at stage 1, we'll let you know. If you fix it after stage 1 before we get to stage 2, no problem. You won't get a major non-conformance at stage 2.
Thank you. We've got another one here. This is a very common question. What are the time frames for each stage, and how long does the process take? So in terms of the time frames for each stage, that is determined when I have a chat with you to determine the durations. But in terms of getting ready, what would you say, Barry, is the average?
Oh, look, I mean, it is, it's one of those piece of strings things. If you're really, really prepared, it could be weeks to be prepared for stage 1. So, but if you've never built a management system before, it could be months before you get to stage 1. A couple of months, 3 months. Some clients take that long to get there. That's okay. It's no major issue there, but a well-prepared system that's got everything complete, prior to stage 1, you could do it in 4 weeks. You could be ready in 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. Subsequent to that, a well-prepared system that has very few findings, if any. The stage 2, the only thing that stops you from doing a stage 2, you can't do them on the same day. You can't do a stage 1 and stage 2 on the same day. Very few people that I've ever come across or systems I've come across can be done the next day. But it would be a matter of weeks usually. If you've got a fair bit to do, a fair bit to fix up in terms of your findings at stage 1, it could be a matter of months. It's basically the maximum time in between stage 1 and stage 2 would be 6 months. Because once that time frame has passed, if it's not ready, we would potentially have to have another look at a stage 1, which we'd really like to avoid.
So the maximum amount of time between stage 1 and 2 is 6 months.
Yeah.
We've got another good question here from Sri. We are being recertified after 3 years. Does the process start from the beginning? So I assume that means stage 1. So the short answer is no. Do you want to explain that, Barry?
Yeah, look, recertification isn't the same as a stage 2, but it's very similar. So we're basically starting again, but no stage 1, thankfully. By that time, after 3 years, your system should be functioning really well. Again, this is one of those situations where you learn and learn and learn. You might do 2 cycles before you really, really absolutely know everything about your system, how it works, how to make it better, all that sort of stuff. We know it's a growth and development thing with systems. We don't pretend that a brand new client, a brand new system is going to be at its optimum in the first 3 years. So when we come back for recertification 3 years later, we would generally see, and we generally see in every case, that improvement has happened within that 3 years. Significant improvement in some cases.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and it's because clients that do this really well, they apply the standard and they use it to their advantage. And again, This thing's not there to be a hindrance or a burden. It's there to give you a springboard to improvement, a springboard to better service. Challenge the requirements within your system. Challenge, you might have too much documentation. You might be able to reduce documentation. Those sort of things. It's your system, and as long as it meets the standard, you can build it any way you like. And my advice is to keep it as simple as possible. Complex businesses sometimes struggle with that because of the nature of their business. But at every turn, think about keeping it as simple as possible. You'll find that to be very helpful as you go along.
It's good to know. Okay, we're running out of a bit of time, but I think we've got time for a couple more. Tyler has asked, this is a very good one. Does a person conducting an internal audit need formal training in auditing?
Yeah, look, they have to be suitably qualified. And of course, as a CAB, we're allowed to provide internal audit training. It's based on 19,011, an ISO standard, as you might expect. There's another one. It suitably qualified is how I like to put it. And that will support, a good solid foundational course. Internal auditing will provide enough for you.
Yes.
And internal auditing gets better the more you do it. That's
So
another tip.
something I forgot to mention, maybe I did mention, but our online on-demand internal auditing training we include in at no additional charge if we're going to be certifying companies. It's just a value add. So if that's something you're looking at doing for yourself or anyone else in your team, we can make it available to the whole company really if required. So if you need internal auditing training, we can help you with that.
Yeah, actually, I
Um,
might mention there too, Gab, just to jump in there, with internal audit, you have to be independent of the process that you're auditing. So it's often it's advantageous and necessary to have more than one auditor in your business. Of course, an external consultant can do your internal auditing because they're independent of your business too. But if you have, if you're a small business, you have a couple of people trained in internal audit, and just go in between each other. You don't audit your own work; you audit the other person's work. So you have to have a degree of independence within your internal auditing system.
Okay, that makes sense. So sometimes, if someone has written the policy and trained employees on the policy, they can't do the internal audit. But if they've written the policy and someone else has trained the employees, then they can do the internal audit. Is that correct?
You've just got to be
There's a
independent
degree
of
of
whatever it is.
separation.
The process that you're auditing. You let me give you an example. You could have actually written a procedure, but you don't deliver the procedure or process. You can still audit that. But if you're the process owner of that procedure, you can't audit yourself. That's probably the
Okay,
best way to describe it.
okay. We've got one from an Ashley. We are using a consultant. So when should we approach you for the ISO audit?
Yeah, I think if your consultant's working through that, that plan, do, check, act, or whichever way they want to do the project, I think once the internal audits are done and the management review is done and your system is built, I mean, as soon as possible after that.
So from our side, we generally require 4 weeks notice for a stage one. And the reason for is that we don't just assign any auditor to the business. They need to have experience in the company's industry. They need to be qualified in certain audit codes so they can understand the industry. So we need a bit of a lead time. But quite often companies will engage us to get access to our training. And also to get a statement of intent, which we didn't talk about. But essentially, once you agree to get certified by us, we can send you a legal letter that says you're in the process of getting ready to be audited. And sometimes that can reduce the pressure if you're getting inquiries from clients. And in some cases, it just depends. You can submit that with tenders. They may or may not accept it, but it does state that you are going for ISO certification.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. Um, anything you'd like to add, Barry?
Yeah, look, I think just to reiterate what we've said, I mean, preparation is the key, understanding the requirements, things like internal audit, things like management review, having the right documentation already built and ready, and having people, I think most importantly, the people within your business that are involved in the management system certification and the people that work with you, there should be a good awareness that you've actually got a management system and you're going through certification. It really helps when people know that there's a goal like that. People will jump on board and they'll do their very best. And when we get there, we can see that. We see it all the time. We see clients that are really well prepared, and for me, it's a great thing to see. I mean, I see all the reports. I make certification decisions every day, and it's really good to see to the extent that people have gone and worked really hard to build a good system that works for them. And it's much easier to certify when people take that approach.
Thank you, Barry. I might just throw in one more because we're on time now. But this is a good question from Rosemary. Do you have to have conducted many internal audits before stage one?
Yeah, look, you should conduct an internal audit against the standard itself. You can do that in section by section. You can do it that way. We know that this is the first round. We know that you need an audit program. You need to have conducted all the audits that are necessary. So just to put it in a nutshell, your main system processes, you should have audited those to make sure that those things are running properly in accordance with your requirements. And the other one is to look at your business, your system, your management system against the requirements of the standard. So things like, do you have a quality policy? Do you have a safety policy? Have you looked at context? Have you looked at risk? Have you engaged your employees? Things like you can build a really good internal audit program around the standard itself. We can actually provide some information that's available. We're allowed to give to you, which might help you in terms of looking at those particular things that we will look at stage one and stage two.
Yes. So we did have some questions around the modules, and again, that will be identified in the checklist. If anyone's interested, we can send you that checklist to see how ready you are for stage one. But again, it's always a good idea to get a copy of the standard because that's essentially what you're basing the management system of, and it will go into much more detail of what is required.
Yeah. Get those standards.
Yeah, that's right. So thank you everyone for joining. Please feel free to get in touch with us if you have any other questions, or if you want to learn more about ISO, or if you want to have a chat with us about any questions around certification or your management system. This webinar is being recorded, so once this is finished, you will receive a link so you can watch it again if there's any good bits you want to refer back to, or share it with anyone else in your team. And thank you very much, Barry, for joining us. That was very helpful. And yes, have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Gav. Bye, everyone.
Bye.